Today is my first wedding anniversary. Instead of spending it at a weekend getaway, toasting the happiest year of our lives, I'm spending it alone, living in my parents' basement. 6 months ago, it became clear to me that my wife was fighting a war with severe depression, and I'm the one who lost. I won't go into the details of her story for her own privacy, but within days of realizing the extent of her suffering and how far back it went, divorce was put in front of me. My world ended. My best friend became a stranger, and I was helpless to do anything about it. The following months were a living hell of me trying to be strong for her, for myself, and to save our relationship. Every day was a new worst day of my life as I was flung headlong into a major depression and anxiety, so overwhelming I can't even put it into words. Over the last few months, I've heard the voice of Jesus and of Satan. I saw and heard demons in my own home. I felt the presence of angels, and I received signs from God that defy explanation. When I thought things were finally improving for us, I found out she had already printed the papers for divorce. I then gave up on my own life. When I was so close to checking out, I don't even know how I made it here. I say this not for revenge against her at all. I forgive her completely. She's hurting. I say this not for attention for myself. This is really, really hard for me to do. I say this because I know that there is someone else out there who is hurting and suffering. And while in the deepest darkness of my life, while searching for a reason to still live, I realized that there are many others who feel the same, who are also alone. So, I'm not here to give you advice or to tell you what to do. If you're at the end of your rope, in despair even of your own life, because I'm not fully through this chapter myself. I'm here to tell you just that I know what it's like. I know what it's like to spend your life savings on an endeavor that ends up in flames. I know what it's like to feel that you have no value. I know what it's like to stop eating on the off chance that you will starve to death and die in your sleep. I lost 40 pounds in 2 months. I know what it's like to feel dead inside to the point where you feel sick for months, like your soul is gone. I know what it's like to be afraid to check your phone, but also to check it in the hopes that there will be a notification that will change everything for the better, only it never comes. I know what it's like to cry out for hours on end to God for a miracle, hoping each day that it will come. I know what it's like to lose jobs and to think that that is a reflection of my own value. I know what it's like to not have a bedroom you can truly call your own. I know what it's like to wish that you were dead and to think things would be better off if you were, only to then feel guilty about it later when the feeling passes. I know what it's like to have nauseating anxiety just walking into your own home or walking out the front door. I know what it's like to have everyone in your life, even strangers with good intentions, tell you what you need to do, even though it's all conflicting advice. I know what it's like to have so many wrong and correct paths forward, but to not have a right one. I know what it's like to finally admit that you're not okay, only to then feel weak and guilty about it. I know what it's like to try so desperately to help the person you love most, only to see them drift farther and farther away. And I know what it's like to experience such a loss that you feel as though you have no personal pride left in anything. So again, I make this not for sympathy or revenge. I have no ill will towards her in my heart. I make this because in my darkest moments, it would have been nice to open up social media or YouTube and to see that there was someone else in the middle of it. Not someone telling me how to handle it or how their life is better now, but someone who is there suffering with me in the moment. My life is by no means great or put together yet. However, now that I'm in the final stages of this, I can reflect on the past few months differently. Before this, I used to get angry or frustrated at a lot of things that were completely outside my control. That hasn't happened hardly at all now. I find I have compassion for people that I never would have had before. I started journaling and tracking my habits. I've been going to the gym and getting my weight back. I've started to play music again. I have a dream of one day learning to sail. I somehow passed my home inspection exam and got an in with a great boss in a profession that I actually want to be in. I've made new friends and strengthened old relationships. I've reconnected with so many old friends, people that I never really thought I'd ever see again. I've had camping trips, nights out, trips to the lake, trips to the beach, and I'm starting to now realize that maybe there is more to life, even if it's impossible to see sometimes. Even still, I sometimes ask, what is the point to life? But there is a future out there, and I'm almost starting to look forward to it. I've experienced God in ways I never would have before. There's so many stories, but in a moment of desperation, I cried out to Jesus to take my life, saying, I've had enough. I can't love the way you did. I'm only human. And I heard the words, so was I. A year ago last night, I slept in my home on the couch with my kitten Marble, eagerly awaiting morning, knowing that in a few hours I'd be married. 2 days ago, I said goodbye to my cats and my home for the last time. Soon, someone else will be living there. They will have no idea of the love and the tragedy that happened in that home, or the hours that I spent crying out to God there. Though my marriage wasn't saved, I'm now starting to see that maybe it was all for the best after all. It still hurts, but there's a future somewhere there for me. Today is my first wedding anniversary, but now it's just a Monday. If you relate to any of this, you're not alone. Comment, still here, if you have endured or are currently enduring a trial. We can do it.